Played a lot with Alice Donut, who are a Court Tavern favorite, like the Lunatics. Played with Alice Donut, New York band, Alternative Tentacles. Apparently, as the story goes, they were in the offices in Frisco, and they're like, oh, there's this band in New Brunswick. They're really great. We play with them a bunch of times. And ironically, at the same time, I had seen an ad, Maximum Rock and Roll, an Alternative Tentacles ad, that had a little baby with like, they'd morphed its head, and it said, don't be a butthead. And I was like, I have to write Jello a letter at this point. I have to send him the single. So I sent him the single. Months went by, I didn't hear anything. I was like, he's not going to respond. He's going to hate the record. And I guess tied in with the Alice Donut thing, I got a letter one day. I got this like 3-page handwritten letter, and I was just like, what the hell? And it was from Jello. And it was like, oh, I'm very interested, you know, that's really funny, you know, do you have more stuff? And it was this long letter about like what music he liked, pretty much. So things went, and then we were kind of staying in touch with Victim's family and staying in touch with Alice Donut. And lo and behold, I'm working at Marita's in New Brunswick, right next to the Court Tavern. And it's a busy Saturday night. I'm in the kitchen. It's crazy. And kid walks in the kitchen and goes, Mike, there's a guy named Jello on the phone for you. And I was like, what? So I'm thinking it's somebody I know playing a game on me. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me, right? So I answer the phone. I'm like, listen, I'm really busy. What the fuck do you want? Thinking it's someone I know. And he's like, well, this is Jello. And it's this whole thing. And I'm like, I didn't believe him. I didn't believe it was him. He's like, listen, if you don't believe it's me, take this phone number down. I stay up very late. Give me a call. So I got out of work at like 1:30. I get home, or I went to the bar. I was very nervous. I went home, and I remember sitting there with my now wife, then girlfriend, and dialing the number. And sure enough, it was Jello. And he was interested. He's like, well, are you guys working on a record? I was like, we are, and I'll send it to you. And that kind of sealed it. And then his whole thing was, you need to let us know when you're going to be out in California so we can see you. We need to see you live. So, sure enough, next practice, we're like, we're going to California. So we called him up and we were like, hey, we just happened to be touring out there in 2 months. What a coincidence. So we went out there and we played with this band Grotus that was on the label at the time. I think we did a show with Victim's Family. I met Chris Dodge from Slap a Ham, who was in Spaz. It was really cool. Met a lot of really great people. Stayed at Jello's house, hung out with him, saw his crazy record collection. It was completely surreal. And then there was kind of a rocky road, but we managed to get the single out because he wasn't confident enough to put an album out. And John Yates, who ran Allied Records, came up with the whole concept because the Ebola thing was going on, the flesh-eating thing. So Dan, our bass player, came up with the whole, let's do the meat thing. Let's do a meat concept single. So we did the Meat is Dinner single. Label liked it. It sold pretty well. It got good reviews. Maximum Rock and Roll gave it a thumbs up. So he said, okay, we'll move forward with an album. And then we did 2 albums with him, pretty much.